Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're super excited that you can be on with us today. And we are really fortunate today. We have Deng Ming-Dao, and he's an author, artist, and teacher. Over a career that began in 1983, he has written 365 Tao, Chronicles of Tao, School Warrior, Everyday Tao, The Lunar Tao, The Living I Ching, Zen, The Art of Modern Eastern Cooking, and Taming Tigers and Butterfly Dreams. Every journey begins with a single step and the way of heart and beauty. His forthcoming book is The Complete Dao De Jing,
Dao
Liaozi.
De Jing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Classic on the wisdom and harmony. Many of his books have been translated into various European and Asian languages. He's practiced Chinese martial arts since 1975 and has been most involved with the internal systems of, oh my goodness, I'm so
Xingyi, Bakua, and Taiji.
thank you.
Okay.
Over the years, he has given many workshops in Chinese martial arts and Taoist wellness techniques. So, welcome. We're super excited to have you
Thank
on
you.
with us.
I- I'm honored to be here.
And I'm sorry I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to read them because I knew I would
Oh,
butcher them.
no, that's okay. That's all right. So
So,
actually, just to reassure our audience, Tao is the name of the tradition. And when you see it spelled Tao, you're still supposed to pronounce it with a D sound. It's confusing,
oh,
Oh,
I know.
okay.
So we're talking
interesting.
about the same word. I just want people to understand
Oh no, that's great to know that because yeah, I had no idea. So that will make me look at things differently.
differently, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about your book, The Taming Tigers
And butterfly
and
dreams.
Butterflies. Yes, thank you.
So here it
And
is, right?
yes, wonderful. So what inspired you to write this book and what was kind of the history of getting up to that point?
Well, Taoism is one of the major spiritual traditions in China. And what's fascinating about it is that it's both philosophical and physical, in that you can pursue it with Tai Chi and Qigong and other kinds of martial arts forms. But a lot of it is done with just stories. It's not like they give you a bunch of rules and or lecture you. They just give you these stories, and the stories I find are very compelling and entertaining, and you get the wisdom, but you don't have to plow through a lot of theory. So that's what made me interested in this book.
Okay, so it's a more lighthearted kind of, you're getting the
Yeah,
wisdom, but through a lighthearted channel as opposed to really deep reading.
right. And it's a little more, oblique. It meets you where you are. And a lot of things are put metaphorically instead of just telling you outright.
Right.
Okay, so there's pictures during the book and things like that too.
I'm sorry.
You have pictures in there as well?
No, no, there are no pictures, but
Okay.
hopefully the stories are descriptive enough that you get the picture.
Okay.
Like this one
Perfect.
story about an old foolish man who moved mountains. Well, you can get that picture in your head, right? Of an old man
Yes.
digging away at a mountain. So
Yes.
it's stories like that, and maybe we even would find them to be like tall tales in a way. But because they're so intriguing, you get the wisdom in a easy way.
Right.
Okay.
Nice.
And so it's all about how this is rooted in the different traditions then?
Well, the different traditions within Tao,
Yeah.
and Tao means the path or way, and everything in life follows a way, and the universe follows its own way. So all we have to do is follow along. But our folly is that we always want to do things our way,
Right.
and maybe we make mistakes because of that. So how do you do that in a fashion that is easy to do, that is doesn't cause you problems? And the best way then is to follow into this tradition because they've tested it over thousands of years. So
Mhm.
why not?
And can you explain some of the traditions with this then?
Sure. So the first idea, it's a little bit strange for some people, is that there is this movement in the universe called Tao. And if you look at the Chinese ideogram for Tao, it's a picture of a person walking on a path. Well, that has two implications at least, right? One is that there's a path each person should follow. Well, that makes sense, right? And then the other part is there a path that the entire universe, by extension, follows? And all we need to do is to harmonize the two. Can we make our personal path work with the universal path?
Makes sense.
So if everything is moving, though, that means everything is changing all the time. We're changing all the time, minute by minute, breathing, and our cells are changing and so on. We move, we go do different things. All of that represents change. Well, you can't deny that the whole world is changing around us. The day is getting later, right? The earth is turning and so on. Everything is movement. So it's not like there's a static thing we can just focus on. It's a dance. How do you dance with the universe? And you could dance with the music. You're free to dance offbeat and not with the music, or not even get up and dance. But the better way to live is to dance with all of this. So then that's what these stories are all about.
Okay.
Now, part of Taoism is a big interest in health and a big interest in long life. How they've always been interested in how do you live long. Well, if you harmonize with the universe and you don't create stress for yourself by opposing it, and you practice healthy habits, don't you think you'll live longer? So
I
that's
would
what
think.
this tradition is all about.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing, and I love, one of the things I love about like qigong is that you're moving with the energy, and I love how a lot of these practices move that energy within your body that we have to kind of release some of that stress and
Right, and that's where this idea of naturalness comes in for the Taoists. They think if the energy moves, you will be healthy. It's that simple. And they'll compare it to a river. If a river gets stagnant or dammed up, it causes problems. If the river can keep flowing, everything is healthy.
Right.
So they don't know that you have to take medicine as the first course. If you can keep the energy moving, then you don't need medicine, right? So that's the idea. Can you just keep the energy inside you moving?
yeah.
Mm.
It feels like too with the Taoism, like if you are being more flexible and moving with the energy, that this is going to really open up a lot of opportunities for you too, because you're going to be not having so much resistance in your life.
Yes, so by the very definition of your words, if we resist, haven't we closed doors off for ourselves? And if you have a closed door, you can't see on the other side, can you? So you
Right.
can't even see what's coming. So not resisting is a good thing. It doesn't mean that we just go through life limply. It means
Okay.
that we don't insist that it has to be the way we want it to be. That's resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
We accept how it is. Now, that doesn't mean that you just get run over, but you don't disbelieve that the car is coming but you get out of the way, right?
Right.
Yes.
And so that's acceptance, not as passivity, but as openness,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other thing is, if we're too busy resisting, we might not notice the tiny little opportunities that are there, right? The ones that we didn't expect, the ones we weren't trained to look for, but it might be right there. And then if we're open and not resisting, we can go for that one.
Right.
I love that. I was just thinking that yesterday actually was like it's been very gloomy here for the last couple of days. And then there was some sunshine breaking through, and it was like, it kind of gave me that opportunity of looking at that sunshine as a little bit of hope, a little bit of what a great opportunity that the sun is shining through. And, a lot of people would just take that for granted and miss that I don't
peace.
know, whisper
Yeah.
of hope is how
Yeah.
it felt to me.
Well, indeed, but can I
Mhm.
extend that a little bit?
Yes, please.
We know even on a cloudy day, the sun is always there.
That's
In
true.
the same way, if we have temporary misfortunes in life, it's like the cloudy day. But the hope that you're invoking is always there. So, what do we need to do? We need to be patient and have enough fortitude until the clouds break. And then hopefully we spend some time thinking about what we're going to do when the clouds break instead of just going, "What? I wasn't ready." But
And I think that it sounds like in this tradition that this is what you're kind of gearing up for is so that you are prepared when these little breaks happen.
right. And so you invoked non-resistance.
Yeah.
And that's what meditation is so important. Why meditation is so important, because it empties you so you can be open
Hmm.
and not resist, right? And so, yes, it's a daily practice.
Yes. And I mean, and some days are better than others. I don't know about your practice, but I know for my practice, some days are much better than others. Some days I can't shut the monkey mind off and it's right. I'm making grocery lists and doing everything else. And then other days I can find that space. And
You know, all you have to do is practice. And there are still times now, after 50 years, I'll finish meditating. That was a really awful session. I really struggled through that and so on. Um, but I have discovered, oddly, that just doing it repeatedly has an effect. And this goes back to your non-resistance idea. If I want meditation to be a certain way, just like what the statues look like in the temples and so on, I might not be doing it right. And so all you have to do is meditate every day. Yeah, there are going to be crappy days. There will be days when, oh, I have so many things going on and so on, but it still has an effect. And it's a cumulative effect over many years, and you can't get it any other way.
Right.
So I really urge everyone to learn meditation. It doesn't matter what style it is, because ultimately there is no name or shape or form to true meditation. All you have to do is do it every day, and there's nothing else that you need to do. So it's a good thing.
it is a good thing. I like to start my day with my meditation and because it just sets my tone for my day in a little bit different
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love that you did say that though about, there's not one proper right way to meditate. It's like really what fills your soul and makes it easy for you to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good message to get out to people because I think so many people are stuck of, I got to be like the guru in the mountains with,
Right,
and
right.
that's not so.
Yeah. My
My
form of
message.
I'm sorry. My
No,
form of
no, please.
meditation is exercise. When I
Yeah.
exercise, I can get into deep thought or no thought with it, and it takes me on a really nice feeling for my day. So that's my thing.
So the point to both your accounts is that the Taoists would say you're returning to your most natural state.
Right.
This
Right.
is who you naturally are. And we are so trained to approach life with artifice. Behave yourself, use your manners, dress a certain way, say certain things, and here's key words you should use, and so on. Everything about what we're taught is artifice. When do we get to be natural? And in both
Yeah.
experiences that you're recounting, it's returning to that naturalness. And then you are approaching life with your true self, not with an artificial self. And that's a great thing. I wish everyone would have that experience.
Yes, me too. So what other things can you do to kind of start living in this natural state? Because that sounds like what a lot of this is about
Yeah.
is living in that, allowing that flow. So meditation's a good start, but and I think exercise, as you had kind of alluded to.
Mhm. Diet and sleep are really important.
Yes.
And so eating a mostly vegetarian diet with maybe just a little bit of meat if you're the kind of person who needs that extra protein. avoiding ultra-processed foods, avoiding sugary drinks, all the kind of industrial foods that have invaded our diets in the Western world. That is really important, and that can heal a lot of things if you correct your diet, right? So diet is the basis for a lot of our progress. So a good diet, clean, healthy food, as little artificial stuff as possible. Sleep. Do you know there's a Taoist who was famous for his sleeping qigong?
Really?
And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and they say, according to legend, he would sleep for days at a time, right? And
Wow.
he's a very famous Taoist, also a theorist, created a very important diagram that shows Tai Chi, um, and also was a martial artist. But that's a way of emphasizing how important sleep is. And if you have broken sleep, if you don't sleep deeply or you're so busy you don't have time to sleep fully, that's going to wear you down. And I don't see how you can think straight. Where it's supposed to like, oh, 8 hours and then go put in your 8 hours a day. And even you're retired, you're supposed to keep working. Well, how good is your work if you haven't slept well and you haven't eaten well?
That's
Okay,
right.
so diet and sleep, and you mentioned exercise, you mentioned meditation. So the link between exercise and meditation is the breath. And you mentioned Qigong. Qigong is a good thing to learn. If you exercise, just taking a walk will accelerate your circulation, and we're back to that movement of natural energy.
Mm.
I don't think anyone can deny if your blood keeps circulating, it's going to clean your body out, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to accelerate things, and it takes some of the strain off your organs. They don't have to pump all the blood through and so on. So doing that, but breath, even if you can control your breathing, spend a little time, before your meditation or during your meditation breathing. And what people might not know about is ratio, ratio. And what do we do when we get excited or scared? We go like that.
Yeah.
And our inhalations are really deep, but our exhalations are really short. Let's say you look at a baby or an infant looking at something. Well, what happens? Their breathing slows down and gets really deep, almost like they stop breathing. So breath is odd in that it's automatic in one sense, but it's partially under our control in another sense. We can hold our breath if we're told to, right? For
Hmm.
a short time. So if you can control your breath, and the way to calm yourself is to make your exhalations longer than your inhalations. And that's something a trick that everyone can use. You could do it sitting on the bus, sitting at your workstation, whatever, and that will calm you down as well. So the breath is important. And then meditation at the end is of the sequence. I think it's a good thing too.
Yeah. And I feel like they all go hand in hand because I feel like
Oh,
if
for
you're
sure.
eating properly and you're not having all this processed food and filling your body with junk and you're exercising, you're likely going to sleep a lot better. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just like which is going to open up that space to be able to meditate, to be able to, yeah, it's just a great way of living in that natural flow then, right? And then you're going to
And
have breaths.
and I want to underscore that. See, it's a system.
Hmm.
And so there's not ever going to be a time when you say, what's the one thing I need to do? Right? Like, oh, I'll just meditate, or I'll just exercise, or I'll just change my diet. It's the confluence of all those factors that really brings us good health and serenity.
Hmm.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's important for people, and I find it's nice for people to hear this too, because we live in such a world that is so like we're so
Fast.
busy,
Yeah.
our brains are so full of stuff, then we fill our bodies so full of things, and
Hmm.
we just don't allow ourselves to have and come back to that natural state of who we are.
Yeah. That's true.
Right. So if there's something, if there's still someone out there who says, just tell me the one thing to do, go to some national park, go to some wilderness area, eat healthy, you get sleep, walk, hike, and I'll bet you'll reset your life really easily.
Yeah. So, in your book, can you share like one of your favorite stories or a little bit of one of your favorite stories from the book?
Okay, this is a famous story. It's seems odd because it's about a prince watching a butcher.
No?
The prince is watching the butcher an ox, and the butcher is very skillful at it. He just makes a few incisions and a whole part falls off and so on. And the prince says, "Well, how are you so good at this?" And the butcher says, most butchers have to sharpen their knives every day. I only have to sharpen my knife once a year. What I do is I look for the openings. And the openings are very small, but so too is the edge and point of my knife. So all I do is I insert the knife in the seams and in the openings. And so that's an idea of what we've been talking about, especially when we go back to that part where you talked about opportunities. If you see the opportunities or you're trying to make your way through life, don't bang your head against the wall and don't try to blast your way through. Look for the little seams and openings. And then if you use a knife, which also narrows down to nothing, and you put it in that space, then you can have leverage and opportunity. That's all it's about, right? It's not about changing things, it's about finding the seams and the openings.
Hmm, very good.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like
that
it.
that is a good one, and I love that too. Like, because I was as you were talking about it, it's like the more that you start to notice these openings, I think the more you're going to notice the openings, if that makes sense, right? Like, because
Right,
you're
of course.
allowing your brain to start seeing, oh, here's this
Looking
opening,
around.
right? As opposed to we're all looking for that big gaping hole that we can
Right,
walk
right,
through.
right. Don't you think everybody is good at learning? I don't know anybody who isn't, right? If you're trying to go east, but all this time you've been going west and someone turns you towards the east, well, you're not going to make that mistake again.
Right,
So, yes, I think all you have to do is find those openings. And as soon as you're convinced that that's a good way to approach things, I bet you'll never go back.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I would agree with you there. Like, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
My brain's just thinking about all these opportunities that,
Yo, see?
like, and I think the thing is that you can't live in the past. So, like, you can certainly reflect on the fact that maybe I have missed some opportunities that were open, but now I can make that change to go forward and move myself in this direction where I am going to notice those.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's fine to reflect on the past and so on, but you're always in the present, right? And by definition of what we are saying about Tao, it's always moving and changing. There's never a time that you can sit there and say, wait, can I really wait for this opportunity to come to me? And so everything is like changed in 1,000 times already, right? So
Mm.
you have to
Right.
be nimble and you have to follow things.
Yeah. So if you could offer people something that they can put into their spiritual toolkit that you think would be handy for them, what would that be?
So, do you know that there's a word that just means plain and simple? And it's a picture derived from silk. Well, think about silk. We get it from a silkworm, get the threads from silkworms, and you can make it into very fancy garments. You can dye it, you can embroider it, make it into brocades and so on. But isn't the basic value the silk, no matter how it's decorated, no matter how it's colored? So, this idea of simplicity goes back to the idea of plain, raw silk. That's where the true value of the silk really is, isn't it?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about people? What are your true values? What is the real you? What is the substance That raw, not in, a negative sense, but in an unprocessed sense. Who are you? And the idea is all you have to be is who you naturally are. And who you naturally are is the best.
Yeah.
Think about how often we're told that we're not good enough, that we need this gadget, we need this beauty treatment, we need to go see this place, we need to hear this musician, we need to do this, you need to buy this, you need to get ahead. We're told all the time by other people what we should be. When do we ask who we are? So if you want a simple idea that you can put into your spiritual toolkit, who are you as that raw, unadorned silk? And I think that might help a lot of people.
Hmm.
I think so too. Yes. Good description.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's even something, when we're going into meditation, that's something that we could really, start our meditation with that question and
Hmm.
just really see what our soul is calling out for,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Right. So let me give you one adjacent story.
Okay.
And people are going to say, well, look, if I looked in the mirror and I was a supermodel and I looked in my bank account and I was a billionaire, well, yeah, I would have no problems being who I naturally am. But this story is about who you naturally are and nobody appreciates it. So this story is about a carpenter and an apprentice walking through a village. And in the center of the village is this beautiful, huge tree that's being used as a sacred altar. The apprentice is taken with this, but the carpenter, master carpenter, doesn't even look and keeps walking. And the apprentice catches up with him and says, wait, wait, I've never seen such beautiful wood as this. Why didn't you stop to look? And the carpenter says, no, don't say anything. That tree is absolutely useless. If you cut it open, it's going to stink. If you make a boat out of it, it's going to sink. And the grain is too curled and knotty to make any straight timber. Okay. That night, the tree appears to the carpenter in a dream and says, who are you to pass judgment on me? The tree says, because I'm deemed useless, I've lived longer than any other trees. All the other trees that are useful and strong with straight grain are cut down. Because I'm deemed useless, I have survived. So for anybody who's out there thinking, well, but I'm not pretty enough, I'm not rich enough, and I'm not talented enough, and so on, the idea is to be useless because then it means you won't be exploited.
That's
And that's the
interesting.
other part to it. You can be plain and simple, and it's even better if you can live without being exploited.
Hmm.
That's so true. That is so true. I like that.
Your brain is going
Yeah.
deep. I could tell her
Yeah.
brain's just deep thinking about this as you're talking. But it's great, right? Because when we can lean into these stories, I think they teach us so much about who we are, like you said,
Yes.
in our
That's right.
natural state and
Mhm.
what's important to us and
Yeah.
living for ourselves as opposed to living, to meet all these other people's expectations.
That's right. And so if there's one thing you'll find out as you look at the Taoists in history is that they were all individualists and nonconformists and went their own way in life. And I think that's a good thing.
I think it is as well. I think
Hmm.
the more that we could be our own selves, the more collectively when we come together, it's going to be even more beautiful because we're all going to bring our certain essence to the pot.
Right.
Okay, so you've touched on something that I've has raised my doubts. The
Okay.
classical belief is that if everybody is true to themselves, they think it will just emanate out into the world and change the world without any organization or anything like that. And I'm thinking, well, I don't see how that's going to work. Is that going to work? And so on. But that really is the traditional belief.
Right.
What you just said, every person is sincere and straightforward and true to themselves, they think the world will be self-correcting. So I can only hope for that day.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
It feels like a bit of an illusion at the moment, but
Yes, yes. But we're in that cloudy day still waiting for the sun to break through.
that's right.
Yes, yes,
That's exactly it, I
they
think.
are.
But
It's coming.
again,
Yes.
where you had alluded to, if you can take those sunny moments and, move into those and lean in and get yourself right with who you are by doing these different systems, it's really going to provide a lot of peace for people.
Mhm.
So here's the rule. When things are bad, you have to hold on. And when things are good, you have to save, right? Let's say you come into a rich summer and you have all this fruit. Well, you're going to preserve some of it, right? So when things are good, you don't want to just go crazy. You want to try to save some of the good fortune for the times when life is bad again. And it's always going to go around and around and around.
True.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think this has given people so much stuff to think about, and I know for myself, this has really inspired me to ask some of these questions when I'm entering into my meditation or when I'm
Mhm.
off looking at the moon, which is my favorite thing to do at night, is
Oh,
just to,
wonderful.
yeah, I like to just sit outside with my tea and just witness the moon moving, and it just brings me a lot of peace and a lot of harmony and just the how big our world and universe really truly is. So it puts me
Oh,
in a
yes.
state of
Yeah.
awe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think thank you for that. Because it's going to help me. I know that. And I think it's going to help you. And I
Yes,
think
yeah.
our followers. So can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Oh, my website is dengmingdao.com, and they can find me there. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. So just look for Deng Ming Dao.
Okay, perfect. And your books are on Amazon in the bookstores, all the.
They're yes, they're everywhere. And the book that we've been talking about is going coming out in early July.
Okay.
It's available for pre-order now, but by July it should be there as the actual book. So
Very
Wonderful.
nice. Very nice.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
we very much look forward to reading it. So,
thank
and
you.
we really appreciate you being on with us today. If you had a final thought to leave with us and our followers, what would it be?
Do you know how hard it is to walk through life alone? And so, if you can follow a podcast like this, and if your followers can join with each other, then there's a great beauty and warmth and reassurance in that kind of fellowship. Do you know they don't say in Chinese the world, they say heaven and earth. That means that you need both heaven and earth for this existence to be here. That means at the core of that is cooperation, right? So, can we join with others who are like minded, who are interested in spirituality, and support each other and have that goodness emanate out into the world? That would be a wonderful thing.
You bet.
Mhm.
Good one.
Well, Ming-Dao, it was really, really
Thank you so
lovely to
much.
have you on with
Yes,
us.
very
We
much.
really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining us
You're
today.
very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
And everyone else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet you will.